right, now that we have our open stance style of fighting down, let's move into our switching stances, which I know is something that a lot of you guys are really interested in because right now in MMA, or at least from what I've seen, not a lot of people are switching stances with a ton of purpose behind it. I think that they're just switching stances because they see other people do it, which is maybe a good idea sometimes. In this case is a good idea, but if you don't have like a direction and a purpose behind the reason that you're switching stances, then you're kind of just doing things that don't make any sense, which is really not good, okay? But before we get into switching stances, the first thing that you need to be able to do, because I don't know what level you are on the other side of this video camera and what your ability level is, your experience level, all of that, I would say you need to be able to fight in one stance first, okay? Don't get too ahead of yourself because you want to switch stances. Working too much in both stances can take away from your conceptual understanding of just being able to do a one stance style of fighting. That's an okay thing. You have to learn how to do it in one stance before you start adding the other. That's step one. Step two is, I would say that you need to start hitting the bag, shadow boxing, and trying to figure out for yourself which type of attacks and which type of combinations and defenses you like when you are in the opposite stance. So a lot of what switching stances does is it creates a look where we're going from a closed stance, which we already talked about, the targets are different, the attacks are different, all of that. They're not massive changes, but they're changes enough to where they can be significant. That's one thing that it does. So switching stances creates a closed stance into an open stance, and sometimes that can fly under the rug of your opponent, which is obviously a good thing. But you have to have certain techniques and certain attacks and certain defenses, at least at a very basic level, in order to be able to switch stances fluidly and actually be able to understand it and really be able to be the leader of the dance while you are switching your stances. So step one, be good in one stance. Step two, learn and feel good while you're moving around, shadowboxing, hitting the bag, technical training, hitting mitts, whatever it is that you guys are doing in order to practice your good kickboxing skills. You need to be able to figure out what you like in the opposite stance. That's step two. Step three is being able to incorporate the two in a way where it doesn't just look like I throw one combination, switch my stance, throw another combination, switch my stance. That's like an okay place to start for sure. That's likely where I started. The reason that I started switching stances actually is because I got slammed by a fatty one time. He picked me up, slammed me on my arm dislocated really bad, and I wasn't able to use my left arm for a decent amount of time there. So because I was a righty, I couldn't use my lead hand, and I came from more or less like, not like a big time boxing school, but it was like more of a boxing school with good low kicks, kind of like a Dutch style kickboxing. But anyways, in boxing you use your lead hand a lot. I wasn't able to do that, so I had to switch my stance. I got really good with my right hand being my lead, and that's kind of what like took me down this whole rabbit hole of being able to switch in between the two. So I actually have been doing it for a really, really long time now. I'm assuming you're watching because you know a little bit about me, but so I don't really need to like boast about my skills and being able to fight and switch stance, but I would say that I do it better than almost anyone on the planet, which is, you know, nice job, Cory. So after you kind of identify you being able to switch your stance, what you like, being able to identify like, hey, now I'm in a closed stance, now I'm in an open stance, I'm the person that's making that happen. One of the big reasons that you are switching your stance is because you're taking a certain amount of targets on your body and you're changing them by switching your stance, okay? That sounds like a really simple idea because it is, but it's critically important to understand that the significance of that is massive. If I make it so that me and you are playing a video game, because like I already talked about, striking is a game that you do with your eyes, you know, like you're playing a video game with your eyes, you're reacting to whatever's happening in front of you that your opponent's doing, and instead of hitting a bunch of buttons, you're actually throwing your body in the air, and that's an important thing to recognize and realize that that's kind of what's more or less happening when you're striking. So if you're playing a video game and all of the targets are popping up in one way and then the video game completely switches and all of the targets and all of that and all of them start to flip in a different way, that's critically important and will make that video game a lot harder depending on how well and how quick the things are flying at you or whatever is. But that's a very important thing to note, that that's what's happening when you're switching stances, is you're giving a bunch of targets that are available, and then you're making them completely different. And if you do that enough times, you can really overwhelm people's processing speeds, which is one really giant way to beat people. You don't have to be a super smart guy to do it, you just have to be good at the video game. Like, you don't have to be a genius to be really good at Tetris, you just have to play Tetris a lot. And that's more or less what it is. So it's not a smart guy thing. I'm not trying to like talk about how, yeah, you can overwhelm people's brains and you'll just be that much smarter. Like, no, you can actually be a complete dumbass like me, and you can learn these things as long as you're willing to practice, fail, practice, fail, practice until you start gaining some success. You will have some success in it. Last thing all right guys, if you guys liked the video, make sure that you guys like and subscribe. If you guys want the full course, it's at CorySandhagenMMA.com. All kinds of courses on there to do with striking, MMA, mental performance. Now we have footwork. I hope you guys enjoy. Like, subscribe, comment. I love you. Peace.